Oceans is a game in the evolution line from North Star Games. In it, players compete to have the most food tokens at the end of the game by cultivating the strongest species in the game's water-based ecosystem. On a player's turn, they play a card from their hand. With that card, they can create a new species, evolve one of their existing species by adding that trait to it, or use the card to migrate food from one part of the ocean to another. Once this is done, they must feed one of their species. This can be done by either eating from the reef, attacking other species, including your own if necessary, or using a gain ability. After feeding, all of a player's species must age, by losing a population, and then play continues to the left. As cards are played, there's a constant balance between not having your species overpopulate and losing all but 5 of the species, and going extinct altogether. As the game progresses, players will begin to empty out the ocean tray. There are 3 ocean areas and the reef. As an action with cards, players can migrate where the food supply resides. Should one of the first 2 areas of the ocean be depleted, the associated scenario card triggers. And unless that scenario card is a one-time effect, it can be nullified again by migrating fish into that zone. Once the first ocean zone is depleted, the Cambrian explosion happens, making aging happen twice as fast, and letting players play 2 cards instead of 1, speeding up the course of the game. After this happens, the deep cards can also be played. While most of the cards in the game have duplicates, players can pull from the deep deck or the gene pool to get completely unique traits for their species. Species become more and more powerful, depleting the food as they go. Once the 3rd ocean area is depleted, everyone completes an equal number of turns and the game ends, with the player with the most food winning the game. So convincing people that aren't in the hobby to play might take a little bit of effort, and then on the flip side, it might look a little too simplistic for people that are deeply into the hobby, which is exactly where I like a game to be. But that being said, it can give off that kind of vibe of not being it doesn't look like a quick game that you would maybe sit down and knock out in an hour, but that's exactly what it is. It's this big grandiose box, and it's fantastic looking, but there's that initial hurdle of getting people to play, especially people that aren't familiar with the Evolution series. Speaking of the Evolution series, that would be my other sort of con with this game, is that it's entering into a series of games that is beginning to feel a little bit bloated. There's Evolution, there's Flight, there's Evolution Climate, there's Evolution, the starter game that they put out through Target, there's the Evolution Education version that just came out, and the Evolution video game. I think that's all of them. But it's a pretty bloated line. And so the thought process when an announcement's made that a new Evolution game is coming out is, well, shoot, how many do I need? Or how many does the market need? And we'll get more into that later, but that was my initial knee-jerk reaction when I learned that there was going to be another game in the Evolution line. Finally, another small gripe was just the graphic design choices on the trait cards specifically left a little bit to be desired for me. I'm not an artist, I'm not a graphic designer, but looking at the cards, something felt a little bit off. The information was clear, the idea of what you were supposed to do with them was clear. For some reason, the icons and I don't know if it was the text, I'm not sure what, especially on the traits that were on, like the defense and the attack that the cards have, it didn't look great to me. And every time I play this game, it stands out just a little bit in my mind. And so that's it. Those were the gripes that I had with this game. Going in, I was thinking, what are the pros and cons? Those are the cons that I have for this game. Which brings me to how I really feel about it. Like, right off the bat, just look at this thing. Lighting's a little weird, but look at the game. It is, just as pretty much everyone has said, it's a gorgeous game. And if that's not enough for you, they fill the whole back. Whoops. Oh yeah, that's it. They fill the entire back with an entirely different variant art on the cover. So this game itself is chock full of really awesome art, including all the deep cards. All have unique art. All the shallow trait cards, everything about it looks good, except again that graphic design choices that I personally didn't agree with. I didn't think looked fantastic, but the actual artwork in the game, fantastic. And I would argue that it is even maybe slightly better than most of the other Evolution games, but it's a different flavor, and that's what people that are interested in Oceans because they like those other games, they're going to be interested in it for the different flavor, and that's what I was. I wanted to see what this had to offer. But along with that artwork was a clear distinction. It did distinguish itself from evolution. In addition to Ocean streamlining the turn phase of the game, they've added enough variety in this to make it feel different and stand on its own. In particular, how the food supply works. Instead of it just being one big pool or attacking other creatures, you can gain food from a pool. You can graze from the reef, the shallow end of the ocean, or you can go, you can specifically migrate food from different areas of ocean to affect the gameplay. And it's a really sophisticated, really simple way to add an extra level of interest into a system that's already pretty well known. And sure, you are upgrading your traits, you are evolving your creatures, you're trying to build the best ecosystem, but this ecosystem that they've introduced is much more reliant on each other. You are much more reliant on the other players and the traits that they have, the creatures that they have. It's a viable, option to begin to create animals in your own ecosystem that your other animals can feed off of, because you have to balance between making sure you don't overpopulate your species and making sure that they don't go extinct. And that's, to me, that's the most interesting part is, and there's a lot going on with this game, but the idea that you have to balance your species, you're not just trying to build them up, get them to eat as much as you can, kind of like in evolution, but you are balancing because you don't want to have them eat too much and overpopulate, but you don't want them to go extinct. And so while it adds the variety, it adds the flavor, the different flavor, it keeps that sharp, intuitive decision-making process that's made this game line what it is and so much fun, and makes it stand on its own. If you haven't played any of the games in the Evolution line, highly recommend you check out the video game version. It's a fantastic implementation of just the base Evolution game. If you like that, definitely take a look at Oceans, because it is a fantastic, different game that still feels a little bit similar to that. If you know that you like Evolution, then 100% you should be taking a look at Oceans, because this is right in line with what I would have liked to have seen. If I could just pick any two games in the Evolution line, it would be Evolution, Climate, and Oceans. And I think you can't really go wrong there. So there you have it, Oceans from North Star Games. It is a big thumbs up for me, something that I really, really enjoy and even just like looking at. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video or reviews or anything that I've done, please like and subscribe. We are crawling our way towards 1,000 subscribers, and we can't do that without your help. So thank you so much to everyone that already has subscribed. Yeah, I really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much, and I will catch you next time.